ready. Hi, everyone. This is Sahar. We're back with week 2 of our effective weight loss presentation. I'm here to answer any questions, talk a little bit about different tricks and tips that we have that will help you meet your goals. And feel free to interrupt me either during the presentation, just shout out, or you can write a message in the message box and we'll answer. I'll see it pop up. So we can get started from here. I am a dietetic intern, part of the CSUN dietetic internship. I also have my master's in science. And so I am still a student. If I can't answer all your questions, I will write it down and reach out to my mentors or look into the research so that next time I can better answer your questions. So I'll try my best and do what I can for you today, okay? So we can get started. We can talk a little bit about what we did last week. We talked about My Plate and the My Plate mobile app. We discussed different food choices for weight loss and substitutions you can make to reduce your energy intake. Few people reached out to me to calculate their BMR. And I feel like if it's something you're interested in, I'll enter my email. You can email me and we can kind of go over it again. We don't want you to get too wrapped up in the numbers. The goal is to build healthy eating habits, one habit, one goal at a time. I think it's more effective than like a huge overhaul and trying to change everything at once. Adopting new habits over time is more reasonable, and it's something that you can probably stick with more efficiently. So we also want to lower our calorie intake but control our hunger, and this really is what we discussed last week with the food substitutions that will reduce your energy intake. So if anyone has any questions about what we discussed last week, we can kind of go over it now before we start discussing this week's topic. Does anyone have any questions? No? Okay, we can go to the next slide. So one question that we did have during the presentation was last week was, what category of food do seeds and nuts fall into? And Dr. Liscore was with us and she was able to answer the question. I kind of wanted to give a more thorough answer, so here we are. They are part of the protein food group. Does anyone know which nut or which seed has the most protein per serving? Anyone? A little trivia. Anyone want to take a guess?
Maybe chia?
That's a good guess.
It's kind of trendy.
I will make it a little bit, I'll give you a hint. It is a seed, it's not a nut. We can go to the next slide. Hemp, that's a good guess. So it's actually sunflower seeds. If we go to the next slide, yeah, these are the top 10 in no specific order. They're just kind of random. But yeah, sunflower seeds do have the most amount of protein per ounce. They have 9.6 grams of protein per ounce. Also rich in vitamin E. And so yeah, these are the other nuts and seeds that have high protein amounts. Walnuts have 4 grams of protein per ounce. Pistachios have 6 grams. So this is a good amount of protein. You're not getting it. It's a very nutrient dense food with a good amount of protein. A lot of nuts and seeds also contain high amounts of fiber, vitamins, and minerals. For example, pecans contain vitamins A, E, and zinc. Sunflower seeds are also very rich in vitamin E. So the question was, what food group do they fall into? They are part of the protein food group, but they also do contain more nutrients. Nuts are a great snack. They're convenient. They're pretty delicious, I think. So great way to enjoy some variety with your protein foods. And yeah, so this is a great list. You want to watch the amount you're having because they are very nutrient and calorie dense. So 1 ounce is roughly equal to a quarter cup. Um, and I would prefer the unsalted version or half salt. They have options that are like half salt or unsalted, but roasted to bring the flavor out. So yeah, if you want to write down this list or take a screenshot if you're on your phone, I think it's a great list. We have a few lists on this presentation and tried to make it easy so you guys can refer back to the presentation with different food ideas and suggestions. Okay, we can go on to the next slide. So today we're going to be talking about fluids. Fluids are any drinks that you kind of consume, any soups, broths, coffees, alcohol, waters, Gatorade type liquids, all that. So the role fluids play in weight loss. We're going to be talking about water, soda, alcohol, and other liquids, and really how liquids can either sabotage or encourage weight loss success, and recommendations with regards to water requirements. So we'll jump right into that. You can go to the next slide. So what does the research say? Because we really want to go based off of research. There's so many fads and there's so many, like a juice diet and then this, that's not really our approach here. The approach is based off of the research. So what does the research say? The research says, sorry, there's a plane going overhead, so I'm going to just take a 1-second break. Almost done. Sorry. Okay, so the research indicates that drinking more water can help you lose weight. So if you are experiencing dehydration, that could stall your weight loss progress. Also indicates that decreases in alcohol intake are associated with greater percent weight loss. Sodas and juice and other drinks that contain high amounts of sugar do cause weight gain, specifically around the belly region. And this is my favorite, actually, because I love coffee. Caffeinated drinks, such as coffees and teas, are okay and can actually aid with weight loss. So if you are a coffee drinker like me, enjoy your coffee. We'll talk about how much you should be having, not too much. Of course, you can always overdo it, but a few cups a day is okay and actually can help you reach your goals. Black coffee and tea, there you go. Yeah, we're gonna go way more into detail in the next few slides. So let's see. So let's talk about water first. Water. 30 minutes, drinking water 30 minutes before meals can reduce your appetite, and this could decrease your calorie intake and assist with helping you reach your weight loss goals. It's recommended to replace other drinks such as juices and sodas with water or like a seltzer water, unflavored seltzer water. There is also low or no calorie flavored water that is also a good option. Recommendation is to drink between 2 to 2.5 liters of water per day. That is the equivalent of about 8 to 10 cups. Yeah, carbonated water. Some people can't stand the taste of plain, flat, not sparkling water. So there are other options, and we'll talk more about that too. There are other options to help you meet your water goals daily. So why is water important? About 60% of the human adult body is water. Like we said, adequate water intakes. Let's see what the question is. How bad is Crystal Light Mango and Peach Green Tea? What do you mean by bad? Like, can you elaborate when you say bad? Like, is it bad for you, Molly?
I just wondered if it was okay to drink along with water.
Sure, absolutely. So what were the two? What were the two that you asked about? Crystal Light
Yeah,
and
it's all one thing.
oh, it's all, I've never heard of it actually.
Oh, very good.
Oh, okay. Well, does it contain any sugar? Do you know? Do you have one with you? We can kind of go over it.
Oh, I'll have to go get one.
Okay. Well, we can do that at the end as well. We can take a look at the nutrient content. If
Okay.
it's sugar free, no, it's a great option. I think that if you prefer a flavor to your water, um, the sugar free options are good options. You know, what you kind of want to limit or not overindulge in are like the Gatorades and the other electrolyte waters that have high amounts of sugar, unless of course it's a super hot day, you're exercising outside and you're losing a lot of you're sweating a lot. Then there was an email that was sent out by the 365 team that kind of discussed rehydration. I have a slide on that as well, but yeah, we can go back to water and then we'll come to the 365 water recommendations as well. So why is water important? Water carries nutrients and oxygen to your cells, flushes bacteria, aids in digestion, prevents constipation, normalizes blood pressure, stabilizes the heartbeat, does a lot for us, regulates body temperature, maintains electrolyte balance, um, and forms saliva. But I will say this, if you have certain health conditions, such as thyroid disease, kidney disease, liver, heart problems, or if you're taking medications that make you retain water, you want to check with your doctor because too much water is actually could be harmful. So if you're not on any medications, if you're overall healthy, the recommendation is to have between 8 to 10 cups of water per day. And in general, if you want to increase your water intake if you're exercising and sweating in the heat, if you're in a hot environment, or if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, you do want to increase your water intake as well. So if we can go to the next slide. So there's a little squirrel next to me. So there's an email that we received over the last few days, which discussed fluid replacement and recommendations for fluid replacement, especially when exercising in the heat. So before exercising, you want to consume beverages. Your body is going to lose water through sweating. So a few hours before, so you're not going to get sick while you're exercising, you do want to pre-hydrate. Hydrate during your exercise. And again, if you're a competitive athlete or if you're outside in the heat and exerting a lot of energy, then you do want to have a beverage that contains electrolytes, which is something like a Gatorade or even a coconut water would really serve its purpose here. And post-exercise, you want to have a meal and beverages to restore hydration, to avoid dehydration. Does anyone from kinesiology or the 365 team want to kind of add anything here? Anyone? No? Okay.
I guess
So,
I'll add one thing is thirst is usually the last sign of dehydration. Typically, when you're feeling thirsty, you're probably already slightly dehydrated. So it's best to just constantly be hydrating, and especially if you're exercising. Even if you don't feel very thirsty, just to take a quick sip, especially if it's hot out. It is cooling down right now, but heat will pick up again. So don't use thirst as your gauge of your hydration level. Just be in a habit of, drinking throughout the day periodically.
thank you. That's a great tip. So we can go over to the next slide. So the water a person needs does not need to come from drinking liquids. Some of the water does come from the food that we eat. these are foods that are super high and have high water content. And when I say high, I mean between 80 and 90% of the food is water. So these foods can help, and most of them are fruits and vegetables. At the end, you'll see some dairies, like such as skim milk, soy milk, and plain yogurt also have high water content, and of course, broths and soups. So fruits and vegetables are great options that can help you reach your water goals, your daily water goals. If you want to take a screenshot or, refer back to the slide, it's a great slide to encourage you to try different fruits and vegetables as well on your journey. So does anyone have any questions? Broths and soups, we should be aware of the sodium content, correct? Yes, there are low sodium broths and soups, or you can make your own. So that's always a great option as well. But yeah, if you're buying a store-bought broth or soup, you do want to take the sodium content into consideration. I don't really have like a reference point for you at this point, but there are regular and low sodium options. I would probably go with the low sodium option at this point. If you want more specifics on sodium requirements or like what the recommendation is, we can talk about that next week as well. Come prepared for that. Does anyone else have any questions? That was a great question. No? Oh, can sodium contradict hydration intake? What do you mean by contradict? Like if you're having high amounts of sodium, should you make up for it by drinking more water? Is that your question? Yes. Okay. So I would say that you want to meet your daily goals of 8 to 10 cups of water per day. If you are eating foods that are high in sodium, foods that are highly processed, such as like potato chips or other processed foods, I don't know, to be honest. Should you be drinking more than 8 to 10 cups of water per day? I would say no. Your body naturally has a balance that it wants to it's able to monitor water and water levels naturally. So I can find out for you and we can answer this next time. Okay. Thank you, Maria. I'm sorry,
Remember
I couldn't
also the slide that we showed the other day about the color of your urine. When you go to use the bathroom, take a look, and if the color is light enough, then you're meeting your hydration needs.
That's a great point of reference as well. Yeah. Okay. So, Dr. Lloyd, what is your take on increasing water intake if you're on a high sodium diet? What's your recommendation?
I mean, I think I guess the question is why are you on a high sodium diet?
That is a good question. Yeah.
So I don't particularly know any diets that would encourage a high sodium, but we all know that when we've gone to eat out at a particular restaurant and you can taste it, it's high in sodium. Most of the prepared foods as well as restaurant foods much higher in sodium, and you get thirsty, and so you respond to that and drink appropriately. But I'd worry about maybe cutting back on the sodium first, and then not addressing it with the hydration, but then again checking your urine color for the hydration. One of the things that you'll note on if you watch the cooking shows is they are always talking about that the food is under seasoned, and that tends to be I think the palates of the chefs, the people that cook, are just accustomed to a high amount of salt in the food. If you watch them when they cook and they season it, it's much higher than typically we have at home, which is part of the reason why it tastes different. But if you think you're high sodium, figure out a way to back off on that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. Great recommendation. Yeah. I mean, like Joshua said, if you're thirsty, you're already probably dehydrated. Go ahead and drink that water, but try to avoid high sodium foods and stick to foods that don't have high amounts of sodium, fruits and vegetables that do contain a lot of water, especially if you have a hard time drinking plain water. Getting water from the foods you eat is a great way to stay hydrated. So we can go to the next slide as well. Okay, coffee. Like we said, caffeinated drinks can actually aid with weight loss. There is research that supports this. In the study that I'm referring to, the participants had about 150 milligrams of caffeine per day, which is the equivalent of 1 to 2 cups of coffee, 8-ounce cups. There are also tea varieties that contain caffeine, which are black, green, white, and oolong tea. I think someone had a question about a green tea. So here's where we talk about tea. Yes, green tea is fine. If it's a pre-bottled green tea, you do want to be careful because a lot of these pre-bottled teas do have high amounts of sugar in them. So make your own, grab a tea bag, make your own either iced or hot tea and enjoy it. Tea bags don't have any sugar in them. So you do want to be careful about having too much caffeine, which can give you jitters or keep you from sleeping. Just a note, herbal teas such as chamomile, ginger, peppermint, they don't have any caffeine in them. These teas are not made from the same plants that the caffeine tea varieties are made from. So does anyone have any questions about this? If not, we can go ahead and go to the next slide. Let's talk about soda. So what does this research say about soda? Research indicates that the consumption of sugar-sweetened beverages, which is soda, other juices, is associated with weight gain and an increased risk of obesity. Drinking soda is a huge barrier to achieving weight loss goals, even if it's diet soda. Artificially sweetened diet soda is also linked to obesity, even though it is a 0-calorie drink. I'm not sure about the science behind it, but it's not effective at preventing type 2 diabetes. Daily consumption of diet soda is associated with a significantly greater risk of development of type 2 diabetes when compared to individuals who don't drink diet soda. So I don't recommend soda in any capacity, whether it's diet or regular soda. Consider having, seltzer water or making your own flavored water at home. You can put lemon in it, mint, play around watermelon, cucumber water. There's a lot of lemon, lime, a lot of different types of water. It might take a little bit of time to get used to, but I feel like when you make the change, overall, you will be feeling a lot better about this change. So can't recommend soda. Let's go to the next slide, alcohol. So just want to start with saying you can drink and still lose weight. You want to keep it within a moderate level. If you are a heavy drinker, which is 4 or more drinks, that could lead to gaining weight. Many times alcoholic drinks are mixed with high calorie mixers, contain sugar, carbs, and they do contain empty calories. As we know, alcohol consumption increases your appetite. I would say limit yourself to 1 to 2 drinks on the weekend. And if you are planning on drinking, consider having a cocktail made with low sugar add-ins, such as soda water or like a splash of lemon or splash of lime, or just have it on the rocks. So don't use like the high calorie mix-ins. I'm not sure if anyone's interested in the science of how alcohol makes you fat, but I can just explain it, and we don't really need to go in there and into that if no one's interested. No. Okay, does anyone have any questions? For those who are sensitive to caffeine, is decaffeinated drinks also effective for weight loss? I'm interested. Decaffeinated drinks won't have the same effects on your metabolism as caffeine. Like drinking tea that's decaffeinated will not affect your metabolism the same way as a tea that has caffeine in it. But I would say that decaf coffee or decaf tea is a great option to help you get your liquids. Again, so you're not just having plain water if you want like to change it up a little bit, but it does, decaffeinated drinks do not have the same effect on your metabolism as drinks that do have caffeine in them. Did I answer your question? Okay. So, yes, thank you, Maria. So let's go to our next slide. All right. We've learned that hydration is about more than just drinking water. Many foods can contain water and additional nutrients that are important for good health. Eating a diet rich in fruits and vegetables is a good way to supply the body with vitamins, minerals, fiber, while adding to daily water intake. Water is the most healthful beverage. It's, it should be two most of the time. If you like to change it up occasionally by having a coffee or tea or an unsweetened, what was the one that one of our participants asked about? I don't remember. But if you like to have unsweetened beverages, that's fine. But you can get a lot of your daily hydration from eating a. You can also stay hydrated by adding fruits and vegetables and herbs to water, which will flavor without adding sugar or calories. Like I said earlier, some options to consider are watermelon, cucumber, mint leaves, strawberries, lemon, lime, or pineapples. For people who drink soda often, switching to sparkling water with lemon or lime can drastically reduce their daily sugar intake. So this week's homework is going to be focused on our fluid consumption. We want to try to reach our goal of having 8-ounce cups of fluids per day. And try having a 1 cup of water 30 minutes before a meal. See if it does have any effect on your appetite. And aim for replacing juice, soda, and alcohol with water as often as possible. So that's what we have for today. Put a pitcher of infused water in the refrigerator all day long. I agree. It's so tasty. Does anyone have any questions about our fluid needs or recommendations?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put this in better words, but because I know that fruits have the natural sugar and you're recommending putting natural flavors into your water for those who have trouble drinking just natural water itself. Would you say that we would have to lower our sugar intake if we do decide to drink fruit infused water?
When you put a fruit in, well, first of all, fruits, natural sugars are, they could be part of a healthy diet. So you shouldn't be afraid of having fruits or lemon or lime. And you're not adding that much sugar to flavor, you're not adding that much fruit to flavor the water. So the little bit that you are adding and the large amount of water that you're going to be consuming, it's not something that you should really, I don't want to say be afraid of, but you shouldn't worry too much about the small amount of fruit that you're going to be putting in the water to infuse it with flavor. Go ahead and enjoy it. It's part of a healthy diet. It's just fruit. And if that'll encourage you to increase your water intake, then go ahead and do it. Does anyone have any water flavoring recipes that they wanna suggest? Cucumber instead then. Yeah, Cucumber is a great mint, cucumber, splash of lemon or lime. Cucumber water is really yummy. So I do want to kind of talk about our homework from last week, which was making food substitutions and writing down convenient, well-balanced go-to snacks and meals that are quick and easy to prepare in times where you're hungry. Does anyone want to share what their go-to meal or recipe is that might, when they're have limited time and they just want to, they don't want to eat something that's prepackaged or heavily processed, what their go-to is? Anyone? No? Okay. Are there any questions about today's presentation? Hard-boiled egg and a handful of nuts. Yeah, same here. Hard-boiled eggs are a great go-to. Lots of protein, easy to make. Usually available in our fridge. Super yummy.
So
Okay.
for those of you that are working with participants that are on a weight loss goal, what kind of challenges are you running into with them? Have you talked to them about it? Because that's the opportunity for you to engage with them, find out what the challenges are, and if they aren't able to make these sessions, then gives you the opportunity to ask the questions and get the answers. Any of you having any challenges with the people you're working with? What's up, Arlene?
I think it's something that just runs in our family, is having time. And I see that with my mom because she does work from home and she gets like really into her job. And I see that sometimes she does skip her meal, not necessarily on purpose, but just because she's so into it. So sometimes we have to remind her, like, okay, you have to eat. And so I see that she's been practicing the homework from last week, and she's preparing the hard-boiled eggs because she does like her hard-boiled eggs. So she'll prepare like 10. So she could just go into the refrigerator and get it. And then we always have avocados because she's like, I have to have my avocado, and bananas. So this past week, she's been doing good, but I still see that the time is still a struggle for her and for me as well.
Yeah.
I think we have to make more use of the alarms we have on our phones, both particularly for the working, for the every half hour have a 2-minute or 5-minute PA break, move, stretch a little bit. If the eating at a set time is a challenge, then putting that in ahead of time. I think it's it's much different at home than when we are at work. You're into a rhythm there based upon what you're doing, and at home it's much different. So I'd encourage people to use their phones and set those alarms. The challenge, you need to set it regularly. Sometimes I'll just use the 30-minute timer, and it'll count down and it'll go off, but then I'll forget to set the 30 minutes for the next 30 minutes. So it's a little tedious, but maybe you need to actually put the times in and have that go throughout the day so that you don't have to worry about starting the timer over again. I think those reminders help.
Yeah.
Sahar, I found my crystal light thing and I was looking at it.
Let's
And
see
it
it.
says it doesn't have any sugars and 000. It's got citric acid, aspartame, mexa, maltodextrin, caffeine, magnesium oxide, and
Maltodextrin's a sugar.
So these are all artificial sugars.
uh,
I would recommend flavoring your own water, to be honest, over having the Crystal Light. That would be my recommendation. If possible, make your own tea. You want to stay away from the processed sugars and the processed foods as often as possible. It really will help you reach your goal much more efficiently. I feel like these artificial sugars, they almost like confuse your metabolism. Your body thinks it's getting real sugar, it's not. Processed sugars are well studied. They do not really help with weight loss. I would really stick to whole foods, natural foods, and as unprocessed as possible. Try to flavor your own water or make your own green tea.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Is zero sugar a faux? What do you mean by a faux? Is it fake? I mean, no, it's not fake. It's the labels really do represent what the foods contain. It's a law that is honey a good replacement for sugar? I would use monk fruit. So if you guys are not, monk fruit is a natural sugar that is either low or no calorie, agave over honey. So all of these honey and agave and let me see if I can find this monk fruit. So honey, agave, they do contain a good amount of sugar, even though they're natural. You do want to limit the amount that you're having per day. There's a sweetener. It's a 0-calorie sweetener. It's called a monk fruit sweetener. It's not very common, but if you really like to sweeten your drinks, it might be something you might want to look into, or next time you're at the grocery store, see if they carry it. It's like a sugar packet. It's natural sugar. It's not like a processed sugar. It's natural. It is sweet. It doesn't add the same amount of sweetener as like a brown sugar or white sugar or even like a Splenda. It's not as sweet. Monk fruit tastes like stevia to me. Is that not good tasting? I mean, it's not for everyone. You might want to just try it, but that's my recommendation. If you like to sweeten your drinks a little bit more sweet or more flavorful than what your fruits and mints and lemon and lime juice are able to do for you, then might want to look into that. Monk fruit sweetener. It's a 0-calorie sweetener, and it's not artificial. What considers something to be processed? Okay. Generally, foods that are shelf stable for extended amounts of time, the way they are shelf stable, if they're not refrigerated, it is because they are processed that allows them to be shelf stable. So you're thinking about your chips and your cookies and your cakes, anything that you found in the middle aisles besides the refrigerated and frozen section in your grocery store, most of those items are processed. So things that are unprocessed would be just the actual food that you yourself need to clean, wash, prepare, cook, stuff like that. Did I answer your question? I know it's a lot of work and it takes a lot of time, but maybe committing a part of the day to preparing the foods that you enjoy, having them available in your fridge, being able to go and grab like pre-sliced apples or pre-sliced celery. It's worth the time that you're investing in preparing these food items that are available for you to eat, as opposed to grabbing something that's processed. And I know it's a lot easier, maybe a little bit more tasty, but to encourage your weight loss goals, I would suggest putting some time in preparing these foods, having them available to you when you are hungry and when you're ready to eat or snack or whatever it is that you're looking for. So the reason why I wanted to talk about fluids today was because I feel like fluids are really a make or break when it comes to reaching goals. When it comes to weight loss, fluids can really either encourage and help you work towards your goal, or really just put a stop. And you can't, as hard as you train, there's a saying that says can't out train bad nutrition. So getting a lot of calories from sodas or alcohol or juices can really unfortunately outweigh the incredibly hard work that everyone does on the field or while they're training. So that's why I wanted to really talk about fluids today. Sorry, did someone have a question?
Yeah. So Sahar, I'm going to make a suggestion, and that would be that those who are on the call here, and maybe Josh, you can put this in a message as well for Monday, is that maybe next week that people bring a label from one of their favorite foods. Okay, so bring the nutrition label from your favorite food, but then also let's see if you're interpreting it correctly by each of us explaining what that nutrition label is telling us. What knowledge did you gain, or what knowledge are you taking from that nutrition label? And let's see if your interpretation is correct, is
Love that.
of value, or are you missing the message there? So make it something that you normally eat, you like to eat, and let's see where your knowledge is.
Irma, you had a question?
Yes, it was just a comment about the honey. I read a lot about raw honey and what does to patients that go through cancer. And one of the things that they told me was that it has to be like pure honey. I don't know if that makes a difference when because I started using that after my treatment. If I wanted to get something sweet, I will use pure honey, and I went to Mexico to get it directly from the person that was getting the honey, because my understanding is that the one that they sell in the market is already manufactured and it has sugar already. So is that true, or am I misinformed?
Okay, so even even raw honey contains sugar. So all honey contains sugar. Now, the difference between raw and not what we call just regular honey is the way that it's processed. So honey is processed in a way because, I don't know, has anyone heard like you don't give a baby under one honey, because honey does have some bacteria in it that could be harmful for babies. So they process the honey in a way to get rid of those bacteria, so that, and you should still never give honey to a baby under the age of 1, but when it is processed, a lot of those bacteria are killed off, and the honey is just, it's a different texture and consistency, and it's almost like a different honey than a raw honey. But anyways, raw and regular honey both contain high amounts of sugar. I don't have the exact amount, like the dietary information, the nutrient information in front of me, but when you look, you're talking about honey when it comes to curing cancer. I don't know about that. Our goal and our, like, what we're discussing today, when we're talking about, you know, a goal of having effective weight loss, I wouldn't recommend honey as a sweetener when you're talking about weight loss being your goal. If your goal is to have effects on cancer, then I think that's a different discussion. But when we're talking about just, you know, our goal is to lose weight in a healthy way and sustain our weight loss.
Yeah, I think I
Honey.
miscommunicated what I said. I wasn't saying that it was curing the cancer or anything like that. What my point was that I was told that the raw honey is better because it's not processed when you get it directly from where they actually get the honey from the bees, and it's not gone through the factory to be processed. And because my understanding is that they add additional sugar. That was just my point.
Right. Now, 1 tablespoon of raw honey still contains about 16 grams of sugar. So when they process honey to make it from raw honey to, you know, what we find most of the time on the shelf, they're not adding sugar necessarily. They're kind of killing off the bacteria in the honey to make it, you know, more shelf stable, I assume. But I don't think they're adding sugar to it. Some honeys are like honey hybrids where they have agave syrup in them. And sure, yeah, there are honeys that they do process in that way. But even then, raw honey does contain 1 tablespoon does contain 16 grams of sugar. And I would say that there are better options when trying to flavor your drinks than using honey. Yeah. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we have a definition of processed food. Comes in a box, bag, can, or jar. Has a list of ingredients on the label. Is processed to some degree. That is a great definition. I would say that usually the easiest way to, you know, think like, is this food processed, is, you know, if it's shelf stable, usually it's processed to some degree, most of the time. Okay. Were there any other questions? There are good shelf stable options such as like nuts. Nuts are shelf stable. You know, sometimes they have salt added to them, but there are unsalted varieties. Unsalted nuts are a great shelf stable food that are usually not processed, highly processed.
Sahar? So
Yes.
related to my suggestion of people bringing a nutrition label, can you bring a few as well, and then talk about them relative to the things you would look for in terms of fat levels, sodium levels, things of that nature, and then maybe you could present last, and we'll hear what everyone else's perspectives are, and then you can come back in and confirm or provide, you know, a different perspective of how to look at the labels.
Yeah, sure. That would be a great idea.
Thank you.
Thank you. Frozen fruits are a great option, alternative to fresh fruits. You do not lose the fluid intake. Fruits, when they're frozen, they're usually frozen at their peak of freshness, and I do recommend frozen fruits. Sometimes frozen, again, this goes back to what Dr. Loy is saying. Sometimes frozen fruits are processed in which when they add sugar to them. Sometimes canned fruits have are canned in syrup. So you really want to look for fruits that are either, I don't know if they're, you know, canned in water, or frozen fruits that when you're looking at the label, all it should say is like strawberries, you know, not, or like citric acid is just a way to preserve the food. It's like a vitamin, citric acid is vitamin C. So yeah, Trader Joe's frozen fruits do not have added sugar. Absolutely. You do want to look at the label. If it says like, you know, frozen like with added sugar for any reason, then that's something that you don't want to. Or another great option is to freeze your own fruits. Buy, you know, a good amount of strawberries, wash them, and put them in the freezer once waters run off. But no, frozen fruits are a great option and great alternative. Also more affordable. Does anyone else have any questions?
All right. Thank you so much, Sahar. Appreciate your time. Oh, you went on mute.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you so much. Sorry, I don't know how to go on mute. But let's try to meet our water goals and bring labels for next time. I look forward to seeing everyone next Wednesday, same time, 10 a.m. Thank you so much for your time.
Have a good day, everybody.
And if anyone has any questions, feel free to email me. I'll put my email in the chat box right now. Or if you have any suggestions or anything that you want to talk about, let me chat. Let's see, here is my email address. Feel free to email me. I love looking into the where, you know, what category of foods do nuts fit into. I learned a lot from that myself, actually. So I just entered my email in the chat box. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Enjoy. Have a great week. Stay healthy. Thank you.
Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
So I'll stay on so that you all can